All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Flock Small and the final refrain. We're here with our rounds 3 and part of 4 recap, which I should be on the title screen here. And I'm joined by Emperor Riku and Captain Gale here. If you don't know, Captain Gale has been one of
And
our streaming champions as well as one of our contenders here. So glad to have you in for this recap. And then Riku's here just for color commentary. He's already said he has nothing to provide.
I will try my best.
Yeah. But being one of the organizers, it's pretty important to have him here. Welcome in everyone who's watching. We're really excited to do this, but we also have some games still happening today for other tournaments. So we want to kind of get through this and make sure we have time for just all the adaptive going on because it's a lot of fun right now, but it's just a lot in general. This round was pretty crazy though. But first, Dutch Nationals happened while we were doing this. This is one of the reasons why we did not have a recap last week as the Dutch Nationals were going on. Congrats to all the winners there. I just listed them off beforehand, but so it's Harmed, Isfet, and Matilde Dragon. That was Archon,
yes.
Alliance, and Sealed. Lots of PV there. You were playing in a Captain Gale, right?
No, I was organizing.
Oh, you were
so
organized. Okay. So you just got to watch all the degeneracy happening.
yeah, it
How
was
did
insane. Archon was 11 PV decks and 1 Ember Skies.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining about GR dominance in the meta, but I think PV might be an even worse offender.
Yeah, we might be in a new era of degeneracy. Man, playing the Alliance ABR PV Alliance felt like that too. Like, holy cow, that set just is filthy.
Yeah, I
made
hot
this slide,
take.
Riku.
I miss the GR meta.
Yeah.
Like in GR, you got to play your cards and then you got comboed out. And here you die a slow, painful death, watching the cards from
You
your
still
hand.
don't. Yeah, you still don't
Disappear.
get to play your cards, or you just don't get to play them at all. But was the event pretty fun, pretty good overall? Seemed like a good turnout.
Yeah, it
Everything.
was a lot of fun. And on the last day, we even did some Crucible Clash as a side event,
Oh,
which
nice.
was some of the players' first experience with it.
And potentially good practice for what is
Yeah,
most
as it
likely
turns out.
going to be the sealed we're doing at KFC for last chance qualifier, which is an interesting decision, but we don't need to talk about that here. All right, so for this recap, we're going to be going through our predictions, current state of them. Again, round 4 has not quite finished, so we're not only going to go through round 3 and then our top 8 predictions there. We've got our participants we'll look at again who are still in it. And then we'll look at our round 3 deck statistics and matchups, and then take a look at our round 4 matchups, and then get into the trivia and fun facts, which are really good this time because we're doing a lot of comparison with the older Final Refrain events and kind of how adaptive looks different to those. So starting off with our predictions, I gotta say, we didn't do great on these. We started out really strong here, got 12 out of 16 in round 1, just missing a couple tough matchups. Round 2, downhill a little bit, only 50% of our predictions being correct here. Also, no faith in me on this one. Not sure what happened there. Round 3, man. Swinging and missing in 3 out of 4 of them is pretty rough. So Stormstrong taking the fan upset over Fabulosing, Quick Draw losing in the fan upset to J2G, and then myself disappointing myself and the guessers
It's your fault.
taking a loss to Dorian. So only 1 out of 4 there, and that means there's going to be lots of shakeups in what happened to the points for predictions, as well as, like I said, our top 8 predictions. So this was at the end of round 2. This is what our scores look like. We had Trending Kang at the top, as well as Dune and Snoopy and Ian Yoink. But after round 3, we have a huge changeup. Snoopy rocketing up to the top with Grishhammer and Easy Galena and Matsi. So all of our top 5 there getting displaced. And a big part of that is because of those top 8 predictions also getting added into this, making some big changes. So still plenty to play for. Lots of points left in these kind of last games, but very, very big swing there. And again, that's partially also because we had so many people guess wrong. So if you did guess right on those, that made you in a minority. So you got a
I
lot of
think
points.
I think this is also one interesting thing about adaptive because you will see more upset than Action and Alien, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So for example, when you watch Action and Alien match, you can check the deck and you can kind of figure out who have the advantage in this matchup. But in an adaptive match, anything can happen because you even if you bring a better deck, you are not guaranteed to
Yeah.
win. So yeah, that is something interesting about adaptive, I believe so.
It's interesting. It's curious to see if people like that or not. It's a lot of fun, but it has made this a lot more tricky to know. You're kind of more just voting maybe for who you want to win sometimes, or just who you think has more adaptive experience, right? Because we have a lot of names of people who have played a lot of adaptive, and a lot of them have gotten knocked out,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it's true, but that's why I make the reaction game is like a fun thing this season, this time. So no, nothing at the high stake here, so everyone can just join in for fun.
Yeah. All right. So here is where we're at for round 4. We will talk about one of these games has been played, but we're not going to talk about the predictions or points yet until the second game gets played, which I believe that one is happening tomorrow. So didn't want to hold off on the recap here, but just be on the lookout that that game between Karen and Stormstrong has not happened yet. JG versus Dorian, though, has happened. So you can see what the predictions are here, and we'll go ahead and look at that when we get to it in our going through our matchups. Really quick, let's take a look at our maps of participants. This has been a pretty brutal one for everyone east of US for the most part. Again, after that round 1, we lost a lot of our EU folks. And then after round
Yeah.
2, everyone except Dorian holding on to that last little foothold with the North America, including Canada and the US, doing really well. But then, oh, yeah, so that's this is going into
Still
round 3,
progress.
right?
Yeah.
So this is our top 8 in the round 3, and we'll look at how this looks after round 3 as well.
Right.
Teams, again, the trend has been that a lot of our unaffiliated people staying in there for a while, and Sloppy Lab Work had to have a lot of infighting. And so that whole group up there just knocking each other out, and we will see that in the end here too. So this is your top 8, and we'll get into the last top 4 when we get to that section. Set choices. So this is, I believe, our round 1. Oh no, sorry. This is our set choices for round 3. Anything interesting here to you guys? We'll look at the comparisons after this one, but
I mean, the relatively high Grim Reminder percentage, of course. With these small sample sizes, it's a little bit difficult to judge, of course.
it's only 8
but
decks. It does change things.
yeah, but I know that Quickdraw, I believe, in round 3 specifically brought a Grim Reminders deck to try to catch no in stereo of cards.
Mm-hmm. And it worked for him that round, and so maybe people kind of picking up on that, trying to bring it in. And then DT, I believe, we'll look at the comparison again, but I believe DT had no representation in round 2 and then was back here for round 3. So let's go ahead and take a look at our comparisons here. Again, these are the sets. SAS average actually staying about the same. Looks like we had a little bit of a bump there, but the
Yes, it still feels pretty high to me. Like the pitch for that is being you can take whatever deck you want, but high 80s feels like people do want some control, perhaps, or perhaps the more fun decks are just higher cells.
yeah.
But,
Well, and I think like with probably this happened around GR, but with PV especially, I feel like what used to be high 60s is now just like high 70s. Doesn't mean those decks got bumped up in SAS, but that's just like in our brains, we see that more as average, whereas it used to be average was around that like high 60s mark.
perhaps, yeah. I remember being really impressed when I had like a 72 cells deck, which felt very high. But these days, it's
Good old
perhaps
days.
a little bit less. Yeah, the good old days.
Okay, so here's that set distribution round to round. Again, AOA being hugely represented in round 1, still fairly represented in round 2. Totally gone, as Not Tonight points out, in round 3. So people ditching that for a lot of the newer sets. The other anomaly we had in round 2 was the VM 23, and that also gone in round 3 here. So, pretty interesting. Not sure there's a whole lot to say there, but again, the variety, we're getting variety every round, right? Like you can't
Yeah,
really count on your opponent bringing DT or something like that. You're kind of just totally in the wild unless you're playing against Karen, then you have a pretty good idea. And it doesn't matter. Okay, house choices. This is going to be, again, pretty indicative of what we saw in terms of the set choices. So Logos and Untamed actually coming back pretty strong there. Again, GR and DT going to both have Untamed, but Logos still being pretty big. So those other houses having to pick up what we're seeing there. How do you feel about those as adaptive sets or adaptive houses?
yeah. I I feel like I don't really have huge opinion. Like a house can do so much different things. I don't feel like wow now logos now this deck is easier or harder to play. I think in some cases logos just gives that smooth feeling, like just kind of smooths out your experience. Maybe that's why people are drawn to it.
Yeah,
Uh,
the consistency, I think, can make it so you like those chain bids. If you practice chain bids or whatever, then knowing the deck is more consistent makes those chain bids a little bit less swingy, and they are just actually a little bit more sort of a linear handicap to the deck, right? If the Logos is doing that, it's not always, but
Yeah.
And then Untamed, I feel like can be several things. I really like recursion in adaptive, and Untamed is, especially in the older sets, has a lot of that recursion that is just sort of those trickier questions. But here, I think, at least for my deck that had Untamed in it, it was just a lot of burst. So kind of bringing in those big plays to try and build towards.
Yeah, and also you have of course mimicry is a very to god specific card. It's a very
Oh
good
yeah,
adaptive
Mimicry
card.
is a fun one. Yeah, it's very true. Logos consistency only works if you're drawing it early. So chains are still a big deal, but that also will affect how many chains you bid. If you're only bidding like 5 chains or whatever, then Logos can flatten that out pretty well. Okay, a couple big noticeable things here, right? Is one house that was fairly represented is just completely gone. Just like
Yeah,
AOA disappeared, so too did this.
this offers a lot of controlling aspects, both in creature and emerald control. Yeah,
Yeah,
absent in this round it seems.
it's pretty interesting. And then Untamed growing bigger in its representation throughout. So Robnar staying about the same. Lots of these other houses staying kind of in those smaller slivers. Mars still there throughout. So not too many houses that went in and out between. But yeah, always interesting stats to look at. But we got matches. We got a lot of games to play. And honestly, Captain Gale, you've probably seen more of these than Riku and I. You
Maybe
casted a lot of them. I
it's
got to cast
already
more of them this round, but yeah.
2 weeks ago. That's like an eternity. And I think I only cast one of these games.
And that's the one I would know the most about, right? Sadly. All right, let's take a look at our
Okay,
bracket
no, I did
really
2.
quick.
Right, okay.
Oh, you did too. Okay. So again, starting with our 32 players, going down to these 8. This one we forgot to put in B-Hawk going against Stormstrong there. And then for our round 3, we looked like this with Mooseman Dude and Karen Fox, Stormstrong and Fabulosing, Quick Draw JDG, and then me versus Dorian. So let's get into the first match here. Mooseman Dude versus Karen. All right, Karen. This deck.
Yeah.
So Karen is the only person I think who has brought the same deck every round of this, and also brought this so far every round of Kagi, right? I don't know how to pronounce this. Riku, if you want to
I
help
think
us with that.
Soybok is like the
Soybak.
Ít lương sói bạc chú ý bom ba càng.
There you go. That deck. So Mooseman Dude bringing a pretty interesting counter, or what you would think might be a counter here, with tons of Amber control. TOC deck. I don't remember actually what the token was for this one. Do you remember, Captain Gale?
No. Also, you said tons of Ember control, but Ember control doesn't really matter against Karen's deck.
Yeah,
like
once you kind of get to a certain point, it's just we do see the 3 Mollymocks for some artifact hate. Gonna try and take out the Well of Memory, but even then, the Well of Memory gets bounced back to hand, and you can just hold it a lot of times. So interesting. Still looks like an interesting deck to play. It also has the Dysania in there to try and kind of counter the archiving of stuff. But again, Soybach not doing a ton of archiving either, right? It's so much of it is just from hand, except for the Winds of Death, but you can kind of use that or not. So
No, but I think that is the thing Moosman do play towards, because with the Dysania, unless you're very quick with the Winds of Death on Karen's side, it's very difficult to go for the Winds of Death because you will at one point have maybe 12 creatures in your archives, and then if Moosman Dude has the Dysania at that point, he wins. Like your entire game plan gets disrupted, and Moosman Dude gets a lot of Ember, and you cannot get back to that point in time, probably.
yeah, well, and like the Winds of Death timing in Soybach is also so interesting because you really want creatures in your opponent's discard for the Memorialize. And so you'll see a lot of times all of this BR Geisting your opponent's creatures, so they stay not archived when the Winds of Death goes off, but you get to archive a bunch of yours. But yeah, Dysania definitely being a counter to that. But let's see how these games turned out. So here's Mooseman Dude's deck again. Still doesn't show the token. we need to figure that out. Doesn't look anything too crazy except for that Logos is doing a lot of stuff, but lots of tribute collectors. So decent board presence here. Again, the Mollymock's doing a lot of artifact control, but actually not a ton of token generation, right? Hardly any.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Times of Change, but does not appear that way. Also, I cannot really see the cards, but that's okay.
All right, next one we've got Karen Fox's deck. Again, this is Soybach. You've seen it a lot already. Triple BR Geist, Well of Memory, Double Recklessness with Memorialize. It's trying to get into a loop where basically everything has been purged, and you're just playing Recklessnesses and Memorialize and Berserker Slams until your opponent can just literally do nothing except watch you win. All right, game one went to Karen here. It looks like it was a close game. 15 turns is a decent length. So many cards played. 54 cards played, and we do see mostly Geistoid here. So I wonder if don't think I actually got to watch all of this one. Were you casting this one? Or oh no, this one might have been cast by Dinobot.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch that.
But you said it's close, but with the total Ember generation of only 20 on Moosman Dude's side, I feel like Moosman probably just got to a second key.
Yeah, and then
but
was never.
Probably the combo got so not super close, I would say. Still probably pretty decisive win.
Well, it's interesting because it looks like you look at the turns that Karen forged the keys. It was 13, 14, and 15. So, and Mooseman Dude had keys 1 and 2 pretty early on at 5 and 6. So that actually was a lot of pressure probably on Karen for a while until she got that got stuff going. But then right at the end, just bursted ahead and was able to forge multiple turns in a row there. All right, game 2. Mooseman Dude also winning with Soybach. Looks like this one might have been a concession. I think I was 22 turns is crazy. 23 turns. I'm trying to remember if he had just gotten kind of the combo going right at that end, but or maybe it was just boarding out at that point. But
yeah, I think from what I heard, neither because of the Dysania, neither person was really able to go for the combo. So Soybach had to win without going for the combo stuff, but did manage to do so eventually, perhaps.
0 untamed turns played for Karen on that one, which is pretty interesting. Even though it was a 20, how do you do that in a 23 turn game?
Discard. I think there were quite a few discard pips in the guys.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
All right, but
game the correct stuff gets tokenized.
Yeah. So game 3. So I would say game 1 probably looked closer than it was because we had an 11 chain bid on Soybach. So Mooseman Dude taking Soybach for 11 chains, not getting a single key there. Still a decently long game, 17 turns. You're going to get through most of those chains, but not being able to turn that corner. So probably looked a lot more like game 1 with Karen just getting, well, except all those keys were pretty late for Karen as well. So
very late. So sounds like a very interesting game. Wish I had seen it.
I need to go back and watch that.
Because perhaps maybe what happened here is that Mooseman Dude at some point felt like they had to go for the combo, and then Karen did have the Dysania, perhaps. generates lots of Ember.
Yeah, we do see
for
that big
3.
total amber generation there on Karen's side, and then hardly anything for Mooseman Dude. So pretty rough, but Karen continues this rampage with Soybach. See if anyone's able to stop her.
Well,
All
I
right.
think I think the house call is wrong because when you go back, there's 17 turn and there only 10 6
Oh,
from
you're
his toys,
right.
4 from logos. So I believe that there's
Okay.
something wrong in the.
That makes more
It's
sense.
possible to not call the house.
All right, so just a miss there on the stats, but that's okay. Point is, Karen was able to take the win again, beating Soybach with the 11 chains there. I had never noticed this before, but we get to see what each chain bit increment was too. That's pretty fun to see if there's big jumps or if this one looked very incremental. So both players just kind of testing the other. All right, match 26, Stormstrong versus Fabulosing. I did get to watch this one because I was casting it. And this is a pretty interesting game as well. So Stormstrong bringing a Worlds Collide deck with the triple Igor, super fun. This one also has the Desania there, and then a lot of Untamed with that Mimicry we were just talking about. So very interesting deck. Didn't really get to see or get. Game 1 made it look like this deck had no chance against this GR, which we'll look at in a minute. But really, I think the goal of this deck is to kind of build up enough Untamed to do the key charge, kind of walk-off win. It's got a lot of archiving for that, a lot of filtering with the Igors and everything. So pretty interesting Worlds Collide deck. And then Fabulosing bringing Almo Pondpadro. The Forgotten, because it could not be pronounced. This is a, let's see, GR deck with the near future lens there, and then just lots of really interesting stuff going on with the Equidon bouncing with the, what is that, the Sandhopper?
Sandhopper, yeah.
Soul Exchange is always an interesting one, and then more Brobnar control. So these Brobnar GR, maybe that's one of the keys, is Brobnar GR being kind of, or GR Brobnar being a pretty good adaptive, because I think Astron's had that too, and maybe he didn't bring that this time, but I know that's one he's played a couple times. But yeah, it looks, the game 1 again, we can go to that one. Did not look like a very close game. The Worlds Collide deck really struggled here. Yeah, Fabulous.
Yeah, also that very low Ember control, so kind of if the GR get away from it.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I kind of skipped over the Amber control there. Only 4.
Yeah.
But we can see that's what is that again? Yancey Gang. Cell in the Fence would count towards a little, and then the Mustic Mermook and Eddie. So technically something in each house. But
technically
not a lot. And then on Fabulosing side, lots more Amber control, especially with the Burn the Stockpile and Memorialize and stuff. But this deck, if you've not had the chance to play this deck, it's so much fun. And we can talk about that. So one of the reasons, and this is where this happened in multiple games in this, there was one like MVP card in this GR deck that just wrecked the Worlds Collide, and that was a Rock Hurling Giant. I have never in my life seen Rock Hurling Giant do as much work as it did in these games. It was so much fun to watch because the deck also has so many discard pips. So the Rock Hurling Giant just dropped and just sat there nuking stuff the whole game. It was very, very fun. But we can see there, Fabulosing just being able to kind of outpace the Worlds Collide deck. Stormstrong getting no keys in game 1. Game 2 looks a little bit closer, right?
A little bit.
Fabulosing
cheating a key to get one.
Which is what, I mean, I think after game 1, you kind of realize that that's about the only way. There's so much Amber control in that GR deck. You're going to have to do something, right? But yeah, looks fairly similar to game 1 still. And then game...
Are those stats correct? Was there 1 Brobnar and 15 Starlines cards played?
I believe so, because I think the Near Future Lens came down fairly early, and then the Star Alliance has like the Retro Technician Lee, so you can actually play Brobnar creatures out from
Right.
it. But not being able, again, that's how many discard pips this deck does have, that it can actually skip
Get
some
rid of all that.
houses.
Yeah.
Just fun. Game 3, going up to 12 chains.
Wow.
I think I was actually, when I was casting, I think I had predicted actually higher than that. Well, I don't remember. It's tricky again. Whenever there's key cheats involved in lots of archiving, the chains on the not high efficiency deck, like the Logos deck has super high efficiency. The chains on the other deck just mean that's high efficiency can high roll. So it's very, very difficult, I think, to chain bid on these kind of matches because like triple Igor turn 1 for the Worlds Collide deck could just be the end of the game. This one did end up being very close. There was one MVP card in this one was Pose Pixies.
Oh.
So Fabulousing had, it was still, Fabulousing was still kind of behind, but she had the answer in a, I think it was the Rogue Ops, and had a way to actually kill the Post Pixies, but just missed the Post Pixies was even there. It's one of those sneaky cards we're not used to playing
Yeah.
with. Played out all the steel,
Rare.
then realized it hadn't done anything, and that was the nail in the coffin there. So I think it still would have been tough. I think the Worlds Collide deck still had the board, but Stormstrong being able to turn that one around after pretty rough loss game 1 in that one, but 12 chains being enough for this Worlds Collide deck to kind of take over, and did win with the Worlds Collide deck as well, with the key cheat happening there. So very fast game too, 8 turns. Like a Worlds Collide deck making 3 keys in eight turns is just rare in general.
Impressive. Yeah.
But yeah, so both those left side of the bracket games going 2-1. But Stormstrong taking that one there over Fabulosing. All right, match Quick Draw versus JDG. More infighting here happening from the poor Sloppy Lab Works.
I mean, they got spared first round, so they have nothing to complain about.
That's fair, but they both, I think both of them had to play against other. JDG maybe didn't have to play against other Sloppy Lab Workers to get here, but Quick Draw for sure did.
Yeah.
All right, you want to tell us about these decks?
Yeah, I played against Anna Kim recently. Has lots of fun stuff. I even though it has the least cards on board, I think most of the scariest cards are actually in shadows. There's like triple scooped, double muck, and just lots of ways to both generate Ember and control the board. And then in both Logos and Untainted can key cheat with Honors Keys and Keyforge.
Yeah.
So yeah, very fast, very scary deck.
Yeah, and having the Varoctor combo there just for an added piece. I think this deck doesn't do the Varoctor combo super often.
No, not
right?
really.
I mean, not many decks do. But
it doesn't have any way to archive it, so it kind of all has to line up perfectly for that to happen, which it can, of course. But yeah, and then on the other side, we have Chandra, the probably complex.
No one's ever heard of that deck or anything.
The funny thing is, when I first played in Kagi, I was actually in a pod with JDG, and I didn't know them at the time at all. And when I played, they played some Worlds Collide deck or something, and only after that I learned that JDG was famous for Chandra, the probably complex.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen this deck play before, very, very interesting deck, very artifact dependent. It's got the Quixelstone down there, which is a favorite of JDG's, but it also has the Animator, which does some really interesting stuff. You've got that Amphora Captura, so you can capture Amber onto your artifacts when they're animated and stuff. Lots of disruption in the what is that card called? The one that stops you from reaping.
Obsession Research.
Are there 3 of them in the deck? I feel like that just got copied a couple times. But also can do some big exile plays with all the capture and everything. So tricky deck to play, but a favorite.
Lots of bonus pips.
Yeah. Favorite of JDG's. Oh, there's no star lines on here besides. Isn't there like transporter platform and stuff too in this one?
Yeah, but it's cool and stuff, and you can sometimes occur like 1 or 2 upgrades, but I would agree that it's the least impactful house in the deck. maybe JDG has other opinions, of course.
One of the few decks that you'll see often in both Adaptive and in Archon, though. JG has won plenty with this deck in Archon because it's just a very good deck, but it's very tricky to play. And yes, Quick Draw joining just in time to tell us more about this. So here's one more look at Anakim. Again, one of our 2 DT decks that was played this round. Yeah, that's right. Everyone knows it. So not super creature heavy, right?
No, pretty light. It has some key creatures in the Fractor and the Brand, but most, just lots of actions that bring the pace of the deck.
Yeah. I guess you do have things like the Mookling, which you might want to get out for some Amber control to maybe slow down something before you get your Brand combo set up. And again, JDG is very incentivized to make sure if the Crystal Stone is down, that you're not able to, like, that you're trapped, right? And so not going to kill that Mookling very fast. Is there any, there's no artifact control here, is there? Oh, it's 0.75. Where's that from?
0.75. That's from Groundbreaking Discovery,
for
the
Octar.
Thoughts combo. But
Yeah. Okay, and
but
then
it does have a lot of ways to kill its own creatures, so that's kind of positive.
oh, that's true.
Yeah, it has the Ritual of Balance, the Shadow's actions.
Well, the scoop you don't want to hit your own because the mugs can, but
you can if it's the last damage, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then JDG's deck again, like you said, lots of pips here, not all just Amber pips, but plenty of other stuff going on. Yeah, I mean it is 3 opposition research. Okay, very very scary mass mutation deck. And sorry, Quick Draw, but game 1, I guess Captain Gale, were you casting this one? I did not.
No, I got confused. No, I only did your game this week.
Okay, who casted this one? Was this Zoc?
Or did Sunday do that?
Okay, this was like right at the Murph did this one. Okay, this was like right at the same time as another game, so had to double up a little bit here, but yeah, looks like pretty rough. Again, it's hard to know, like, if the artifacts come down early, then things just kind of really go Chandra's way very quickly here. Looks like plenty of Amber generated on both sides, but Chandra, you can see, playing almost double the amount of cards as Quick Draw is able to this game, and that's just going to do a lot in any Keyforge game. Whoever's playing twice as many cards is just going to be very tough to come back from that.
Yeah, and also because Chandra doesn't really need to play to the board, those scoops become a lot less impactful. So you have a lot more Amber control in Chandra than in also.
Well, and like Chandra's got the 2 Ludos, so even if you are scooping their creatures, you might not get that Amber.
No, it does have the Vinderhurt in the DT deck to potentially avoid the Ludos, but
yeah. Lots of cards discarded there still for both players. Really good opening game 1. Yeah, early lead. Had to play for the groundbreaking, but as we said, there's not really a good way to set that up super well, which it'll be interesting to see if there's any 4th key. It's okay. We need him to tell us because we're all bad recappers who didn't actually watch all these games. Yeah, I couldn't find. Okay, so that's the game 2. So we can move on to game 2 here, where we do see this was an 0-2 game with JDG taking it. JDG able to win with Anakim. Quick Draw Sand was not able to get Exile or Animator until the bottom of the deck, and so Anakim just did what it normally does probably and just goes really fast. So yeah, unfortunately, Quick Draw being taken down 2-0 by his teammate there. But that's just, I mean, man, how many games have I lost 2-0 to Chandra as well? It's a rough one. All right, moving on. So again, there is still one looks like excuses to me. I'm sure the chat inside y'all's team has been pretty fun with all of this, but it is unfortunate again that we had so many teammates having to knock each other out there. All right, last match of round 3. Myself versus Dorian. So you did cast this one, Captain Gale.
Yeah. I messed up your names multiple times because they were so similar.
That's all right. So I can talk through my deck selection. So this is Evil Twin of Elder O Blaze Kit. This is a deck that I really liked actually in Archon. It was in my NKFL matchup or lineup for a little bit. It's pretty fast, but also kind of some tricky stuff in terms of how many Tide Raisers. There's not too many, and you really need the Tide for some stuff. And then really building towards a big Untamed burst. It's got artifact control. I had seen him play like the Heart of the Forest deck and kind of just playing some interesting, tricky stuff there. So I just wanted something that was pretty well rounded, but something I knew well. And then Dorian brought. I feel like I recognize this deck, but
got a rush deck. Like lots of potent cards, and especially that Sting was a pretty key piece in the matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, so I brought artifact control, expecting there to be some kind of impactful thing, whether it's Heart of the Forest or whatever, and could not find it in game one.
Yeah, there was a turn one Sting in game one, which was, I think, pretty difficult for your deck to deal with.
Yeah, so here's one more of mine. Again, some of the Evil Twin stuff. So the Professor Garwins are pretty fun because you can do stuff with Theory or Conjecture, which is really, it's just really fun to do, and it's not always something you think of if you're not used to playing those. Some of these other Evil Twins like Spore Gorger, there's a chance you just destroy your own board because you're not thinking of how it works. So really like that for it. The other thing with this deck is just its creature control is pretty specific with things like infighting, so you have to make sure you're kind of ordering your board to try and take best advantage of that. And then Dorian's, like you said, lots of Amber Rush here. Choda and Key Charge were also the scary pieces, but the Sting is what makes those cards even more potent, right?
Mm-hmm. And also, yeah, quite a bit of Amber control in all houses, still in all houses, I should say. Double Routine Job, Psychic Network, and Live Web.
Yeah, double Special Delivery too is good for taking out some of those kind of scarier creatures. But yeah, so I would love your perspective on what happened this game.
Yeah, well, we saw turn one the Sting come down. And yeah, Orion wasn't really able to deal with it before forging a key, just because so many of his cards also just have Ember attached to them. You kind of need to play them to deal with the board, but also, yeah, you cannot really avoid generating Ember, I feel like. And yeah, you did have some Ember control, like you submerged him when he was at 12, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Sting just provided too much value, I feel like. And yeah.
Yeah.
Still was kind of close, but
so Sting provided a lot of value early on. I think I only found one Eddie until like almost the bottom of the deck. So like I had to, kind of like you're saying, I had to play cards with Amber on them because I was also just behind on Amber generation and Amber control. Like I just couldn't find ways to slow down his stuff. And I knew the key cheats were an option for him if he was getting value off the Sting. So I was having to dig for artifact control. I was having to dig for my Amber control. Nothing was lining up the way I needed. So the worst part to me though is I could have won
in the last turn. Yeah.
So I knew he had enough Untamed to key cheat. Well, I knew he didn't have enough Untamed to key cheat in terms of just Amber pips. And I had an Untamed turn where I could get the check. I knew he wasn't gaining anything, but I had one of the cards I had to play to get the check was Thin the Herd. And I had the only creatures. He didn't have any creatures on board. And so I knew he had Life Web. So all I have to do is say, I cannot play more than 2 creatures. But I got so fixated on making sure that my Thin the Herd was not hitting the creatures I didn't want it to, that I just totally blew past the Life Web. And so I ended up playing 4 creatures that turn, which is the only way. Like, if I don't do that, I don't think he had any way of stopping me, but he was able to not only stop me, but get the key charge that turn because of the Life Web getting value. So that's where skill still comes in this. I still make mistakes and he capitalized, and so that's what happened. And then game 2, I think, went how this matchup should go. He found Eddie's early on, found just a huge board pretty fast. The Coda deck just really didn't have much creature control, right? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the special deliveries and a little bit of fighting, but
And like one ammonia clouds maybe.
yeah, that's I think so.
Which I think I maybe had to play that pretty early on. So yeah,
Yeah,
I just
pretty early, and
yeah. I knew as
also
soon as I lost game 1, I was in trouble.
you didn't find the thing, so yeah.
Also did not find this
only
thing
until like very late, perhaps.
Yeah, so just totally outboarded, and yeah, he was able to take that one 2-0. So both games on the right hand side of the bracket being 2-0s, both games on the left being 2-1s. So kind of interesting there. But we've got Dorian moving forward into the semifinals here. All right, let's look at these really quick because I do want to get into our stuff, and I know we got only a couple minutes left here. But here's your bracket after round 3. We've got Karen Fox and Stormstrong, and then JDG and Dorian. So match 29, Karen versus Stormstrong. This game is TBD. Should be happening tomorrow. I think, Gail, are you casting this one? Oh no, this one's later. You're casting another Kagi game tomorrow, maybe. So we'll see. Casters maybe TBD on this one, but should be a very interesting game. And then match 30, JDG versus Dorian.
Yeah.
Oh. I think we might recap those afterwards.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just never sleep. That's right. If more of us were like Riku. Okay, so again, going back to our map, this is start of round 3, and then after round 3, we've got still one holdout in the EU in Dorian.
Kind of.
1 Canadian, 2 US players. And then we did see, we didn't get to go through that game, but Dorian did get knocked out by JDG.
Yeah.
Teams, again, lots of knockout, but we still got 1 sloppy lab worker. It'd be kind of a shame if 1 sloppy lab worker didn't make it all the way to the finals.
And 1 final swindler.
And final, yeah, swindler. But we'll see. We'll see if Stormstrong can take down Karen.
Who knows?
Okay, so we got JDG sitting there ready for the finals, waiting on who his challenger will be.
Watching, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we will recap JDG's game alongside of the Karen and Stormstrong game once we have that, probably as a kind of intro to the final match. Let's get into some trivia. Yeah. Congrats to JDG making it into the finals. Also a very, very strong showing in that match as well, I will say. Trivia. So I want to shout out to Snoopy, who spent a long time on this last night, getting all this stuff ready. He's been doing tons of work behind the scenes on all of these. Had to transcribe by hand 2 games from this round, which is so much work, but we really appreciate it. And he's put together some really fun stuff. So I think all of the questions in this trivia are going to be talking through Final Refrain, Archon Alliance, and Adaptive. So this should be pretty interesting for us. First one. And this is going to be for you guys to answer as well as chat. What deck has played the most cards across all Final Refrain tournaments, Archon Alliance and Adaptive? Soybach, piloted by Karen. Pastor Ass Nimrod, piloted by several people. And then T of Vakari, JDG's Archon and Adaptive decks.
Is that in total from all 3
Yes.
tournament?
Yeah.
If that is so, I think Vicary will be the one.
Vakari?
I mean, the Vicary C, I choose C because the deck that Karen bring when it be played by the opponent, it didn't play many cards at all. It's only play a lot of cards in Karen hand, so I don't think it's EA. And I remember that the last time we do trivia, Buster Ass didn't not the deck with the most card plays in action. So I think that should be C.
Okay. I was going to
No?
say A. I was going to say A.
Sure you were. Sure you were.
Yeah, I was. God damn it.
Well, because so chat's talking about how people who have played Soybach, who are not Karen, so like when they're doing the reversal game, didn't really get the rule of 6 going. So when I played Karen's deck in Kagi, I definitely did not do that. But I think in some of these, we actually did see that in 1 or 2 games where the opponent was able to do a decent amount of purging and recycling and rule of sixing. I don't know if they got full rule of sixes, but there was a lot of cards being played. So we see 494 cards played, and it's not even done yet. Well, we'll see. We'll see if Karen keeps playing it.
That's
But
across 3 games, 3
yeah.
matches. So that's pretty insane.
And Vicari only having played in 1 round of adaptive, I think is correct. And then, like we said, Pastor Ass wins fast. doesn't have to play too many cards.
But wins pretty fast. Yeah, and I think Soybak was just involved in lots of long games. We also saw this round.
Okay, what common card appeared the most times across all Final Refrain tournaments?
Ooh, I mean,
I'd be shocked if it was Eddie, but
no, I can see it because I think it was a lot in adaptive, and I think also some Archon decks that like Tokens of Change had quite a few of them. So I'm just going to be contrarian and say A here.
Riku?
I will go with B. Yeah.
Yeah, it's B.
Okay.
It's it's just the card of the year. Is in here somewhere, whether you like it or not. There's just too much value there. All right, now to make it a little bit trickier, what uncommon card we don't like? Like it or not, it is the card of the year.
We have perfectly good Forgive or Forget.
What uncommon card appeared the most across all Final Refrain tournaments?
Maybe
C.
C. I will go with B.
B.
There might have been a lot in Alliance, right? Yeah.
All right, everyone's saying B. I think B makes sense. So like Nepenthe and Battlefleet are usually coming in a deck that is using Key Abduction, but you can also Key Abduction without those. So it's kind of like those two are pieces of the Key Abduction combo, but there are more ways of doing it. So Key Abduction, being a...
Yeah, but I think in a depth at least, maybe Nepenthe pulled ahead a little bit.
That's true.
Closer, yeah.
I think we only saw maybe 1 deck in round 1 with Nepenthe. I don't know if we've seen too many of them.
Yeah, I think Dorian has round 1, and others perhaps as well. I don't know.
Okay, this is actually an interesting one. What rare card has appeared the most? I don't remember this one. I know I wrote it, but
I think A.
Bryo?
Yeah.
I think C, just because
B and C.
It was like a 4 routine job and a 2 in Alliance, 2 routine job. We already discussed this round, so...
Yeah, routine job is hard because it always brings at least 2, or there's always 2 of them if it's in a deck.
Yeah. Oh.
It's Neutron Shark.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but very fun card.
Yeah.
I love Neutron Shark.
Really relevant in Alliance to get rid of those Bryocalps.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. Yeah, the AOA adaptive ones, a lot of them had Neutron Shark in it. But it's also in TOC, right? So some of those stronger Archon decks, people are bringing it for the artifact and creature control. All right, what house had the most cards with at least 1 copy in the tournament that never won a single game across all Final Refrain tournaments? So this isn't like which deck had the most... what house had the most non-winning cards, but cards that were represented?
I feel like Saurian might just have quite a few sets, quite a few losses. I think Logos was so many that even some of the bad cards accidentally won. The same for Star Alliance.
I think I will go with A because there is so many logos in the tournament. So
I got B and C in chat here. It is Saurian by a good amount. I think we had a lot of Saurian just not quite make it in. So Saurian hardly showed up, I think, in Alliance, and got hurt pretty bad in Archon, I think, when it showed up.
And also, I think,
and in adaptive.
Relatively, yeah, I played a DT Evil Twin Saurian deck round 1 that didn't win.
And that contributes unique cards that don't win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. All right, what house had the fewest cards with at least one copy in the tournament that never won a single game? Had the fewest cards
Oh,
that
few.
never won.
Okay. A probably,
Toy,
just because it's
A,
so unified, and also it won a
A.
lot.
This question is confusing me again. I know I looked at these multiple times to see,
No, so it's
make
the
sure I
same as the
understood it.
previous, but just the fewest.
Fewest cards that never won a single game.
Yeah, so basically, it's the inverse of last question. So Sarian had the most cards that didn't win a single game, and okay, Redemption. Right, it wasn't played. It hasn't lost any games. So yeah, makes sense.
Is that because it was played in like one adaptive game and that's like the only
Yeah,
time
where
we've seen
it's
it?
I think 2-0.
Yeah.
Or no, it cannot have 2-0, but yeah, so it went to a game 3.
It's certainly an interesting house. I have
It's
some
insane to me that Untamed has so few cards that only lost.
Yeah.
Even if it's, but maybe that is because there was just so much Untamed that so many cards just kind of got a free win, even if some lost.
Yeah. All right. What card appeared the most times across all Final Refrain tournaments, but was never played a single time? Sorry, this is gonna bug me, so I have to
Ooh.
fix it while we're doing this.
I think that's going to be the Emberfly, just because it's in a lot of GR Untamed that just kind of constantly got discarded. I think it's in Knee. It might be in Bandola, and it might be in, no, it's not in Ass, but yeah.
Amberfly is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So we got A and B. So our guesses.
Ooh, the
Neither.
gap.
It is
Wow.
Grand Alliance Council.
Really?
Trying to
Okay.
remember which decks were running
Had
this.
to Grand Alliance Council, yeah. It must have been in Adaptive, right?
I don't know if we've seen
Yeah,
it in Adaptive.
Because
I
it's
don't think
only
it's
in
Action.
VM23 and DT, I believe.
What about, was it in the DT Alliance and just didn't need to get played?
Yeah, maybe.
That's possible. Because yeah, I think that's might be it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering, is if it was in there but just never needed to get played based on the matchups or something. There must have been a
It
adaptive
must have
one
been
that
another
played it
deck,
too.
but yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting one. All right, what card was played the most across all Fine Orphan tournaments but never won a game? We already know Saurian had the most cards that did this. But was it a Saurian card that was played the most and never won?
Never won a single game. Might be Legionary Trainer?
Yeah, I think B as well.
Because I think Fabulosing had a deck with 2 of those. I think the DT deck beat that 3 times. It
It's
might have also
Legionary Trainer.
appeared in Alliance or Archon.
It is Kronos.
18 Cronoses that never won a single game? Oh, played. Okay, never. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was appeared. Okay.
There's been a lot of Kronos hate in these tournaments. I have noticed that. But also Kronos can be in decks where it gets replayed a lot, right? Especially if you're trying to get like the recurring draw pips on it or whatever. Or you bring it back with recursion. So Legionary Trainer, it's hard to recur it and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting one for me too. So sad Kronos noises for MM. All right, what card was played the most times across all Final Refrain tournaments but was never discarded a single time?
Never. Ooh.
I mean, we
I
know.
think, yeah, Time Traveler sounds appealing.
Subdue has gotten
Because,
looped by JG's decks.
Tata Vapor would probably Subdue I find interesting as an answer. Maybe it's here because it's the correct answer, but
That's nice. And B, what do you guys say?
I mean,
I
if it's
think
here, I think
A,
all these answers cannot have been discarded, right?
Tao Tao Vapors.
It is that. All
Got
right.
played so many times. I think we also had a alliance that was looping Tao Tao Vapors though, right? Towards the end, it kind of just was able to do a lot of that.
I don't know if it was with Tata. I think it was with a Waking Nightmare with a draw pip or something. But
Well, it wouldn't have been discarded, right? If it was ever discarded, this is never discarded a single time.
yeah.
So Subdue wasn't discarded either. But yeah, that's an interesting one. That one surprised me. Tao Tao Vapors was played that much.
I think it's also just it's been played a lot in adaptive where you
Oh yeah.
Tata Favors doesn't really appear in sets where you can discard it with discard pips either.
Well, in adaptive, there's a chance for even a bad deck to play 3 games instead of just the 2. Okay, chugging along. What card was discarded the most times across all Final Refrain tournaments but was never played a single time?
Didn't we already have this question? How
Discarded the most and never played.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be the Emberfly. Yeah.
Oh, blocked creature play. Yeah.
Mm,
Amberfly?
No, I don't.
Or no, that one only was discarded. Yeah, no.
Maybe C.
Chief Tink never played a single time. You got it by just so much.
Thank you.
I want to know what deck is just discarding Chief Tink all the time. Poor thing.
Why? But why?
Is it in Chandra or?
It's in Mass Mutation and is it in?
Maybe because it's in the is it in Chandra? Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
that'll do it.
if
And
it's
in
in
DT, yeah.
Chandra, you want to
Tink is
discard
not in Dark Tidings. Quick draw. That's not.
Is Tink not in Dark Tidings?
No, it's not in Dark Tidings.
Oh, we have a disagreement here.
Going to Dex Keyforge right now. Supporter Chief Tink.
Oh, you have a legacy one in one of your favorite DTs. Okay, that makes more sense. All right,
Yeah,
what was the
it's not-
most voluntarily discarded card across all Final Refrain tournaments? So I think this means they chose to discard it versus randomly discarded.
What? this question is so confusing, but I think I will go for
that has,
A.
Yeah, it has to be the Bond Auctioneer just because of Karen's loop.
No, because there is also
Ooh,
the
what?
the deck that's Donkey Fork play that.
Oh yeah, the alliance, the
that play
Tachyon manifold.
yeah Tachyon yeah.
Yeah, well, it was Echo Fly. I
Wow.
think there was
No.
enough Amber Skies decks running Echo Fly, but also did we have a VM with it? I don't know if we had hardly any VMs in the other tournaments, but
I don't think VM was legal then, or 25 at least.
Yeah, Auctioneer is rare. Echo Fly is uncommon. Winds of Death was close too.
Bonded
Actually, Wind
Auctioneer
of
is
Death
also
was higher than Bonded Auctioneer.
Bonded
Okay.
Auctioneer is also an uncommon card, not a rare.
Oh, right. All right. I think we're almost through the trivia. And then we have fun facts, but I know you guys got to get to your game soon. What was the most made token? Katina Fiend, Aerialist, or Thrall? We draw with this quick C.
Yeah,
A.
it has to be Trolls, right?
Wait.
Were the other two
Rollis
even in the tournaments?
A Rollis is the one in Lorenzo deck. Is that right?
Aerialist, yeah, is in Lorenzo's deck.
So I think
Got to vote for
B.
A. By Wadnim, welcome in.
I will go for B. I think.
B, Aerialist. So we got a lot to C's, 1A and 1B. It is A by so many. I believe the Katina Fiend decks. So there was one in Alliance, and it had
in actual.
I think it just was able to get like people want to discard their creatures against Katina Fiend, and so if there's ever like a I'm not the master but the other one, you just make all Katina Fiends and they just sit there. Because you're not fighting them. You have to have a board clear to kill them because they're so big. Whereas Thralls kind of win faster, I think, if your opponent doesn't have answers to them. So interesting. I think there was a Katina Fiend in Archon too. I don't think there was a Thrall in Archon.
Yeah, there are two Katana Friend in actual.
Yeah.
One by Dorian and another one by Easy Galina.
Yeah, so that also helps those numbers. I should have brought a Thrall deck for adaptive, but too late now. All right, fun facts.
Quickly.
7 decks have won every game they play. If you need to drop off, Captain Gale, that's fine. If you want to get
No,
set,
that's fine.
we'll just finish this up quick. But 7 decks have won every game they have played. I don't know what decks these are. And this would have to be just an adaptive, right?
Yeah, it has to be because
It's got to be more than that.
none
Is
of
that
the
just
other
the amount
decks.
of 2-0s we've had? No, because 2-0 is not the same deck winning every game. So this is
Yeah,
actually a small
I-
number because of our next stat. Decks bid on in round 3 went 0-2. And we saw that in last round too, where a lot of the decks that were getting bid on were losing, or people who were getting the bid on deck were losing. And so it's actually rare for any deck that is going to the third game. It's rare for that deck to be winning based on these stats. So we actually don't have too many that have remained undefeated, and those might have only been played in one round. This is the stuff that's really interesting though, and we'll go through fast though. But Archon, Alliance, and Adaptive turns per game. Archon 7.91, Alliance 8.4, Adaptive a little bit higher with 11.39 turns per game. Makes sense, right? They're going to be longer games on the whole. Amber generated per turn. Archon actually the highest over Alliance.
Yeah, I think Lions focus a lot more on lockouts.
Lockouts or just
At least
combos that just
before PV.
end the game, right? Versus, but I guess this Amber generation still be counting key cheats, and then Adaptive on the lower side. Percent of matches that were 2-0 results. Archon being the highest by far.
Yeah,
Alliance actually being
Alliance
the
being
lowest.
so low is very surprising.
Yeah, that's super surprising. And then Adaptive,
I feel like there also the matchup is pretty locked in, and you can of course maneuver it a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we saw a lot of those decks that had lockout conditions, really like stopped each other's game plans, and so you got a lot of almost like fair looking games because neither one could quite get their lockout to fire, and so you had a lot of games that just kind of looked more like that because there were some interesting like disruption versus disruption matchups. But Archon, yeah, there was a lot of games that just look like that. All right, we got just a few more actions per deck. Archon having 14.8, Alliance having a little bit more, and Adaptive just a little bit less. So, I mean, this is just average deck composition, right? This is going to be standard. Alliance is the only place you can really adjust that. Creatures per deck, Archon being the highest is also kind of interesting, but we did get some of those Amber Skies decks that I think would just try to do those big boards of Dis and everything. Alliance being the lowest makes sense if you're trying to combo. The creatures were a lot less important, and Adaptive is kind of around that normal average. Artifacts per deck, Archon being the lowest, Alliance and Adaptive both being higher. Alliance especially having some, some combos that were artifact dependent, whereas Archon, they're a lot less reliable, I think. Upgrades per deck, Alliance
Very
has a
high
few
for
more.
Alliance. Yeah.
I don't remember. Was there
what upgrades do you want in Alliance?
We might have seen 1 or 2 decks that wanted to do transport platform combos in Alliance, but
Maybe, yeah.
Scrap effects. Lots of them in Archon, but that's because we also saw tons of GR in Archon, whereas the set variety has been a lot more between the other two of these formats. And then 5+ power creatures, also the most in Archon.
That's also surprising. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if that's right. But I guess, again, GR had one of the highest average powers, right, of creature size. So
yeah, that's probably true.
That kind of makes sense there. Reaps for turn. Also interesting that this is the highest in Archon. But I guess we had like the Mars rule of 6 combos in Archon more than we did in Alliance, and definitely don't see that in Adaptive.
Brings those sets up.
So interesting stuff. All right. sorry, we got the Kagi game to move on to, but all that remains is one more match of round 4 and then the finals. So again, that last round of round 4 will be happening tomorrow, and then we'll be announcing on the server what the finals timing is going to be. But yeah, been fun. Thank you guys for hopping on again. Sorry the matches. We need to do a better job maybe of watching some of those beforehand, but we do appreciate everyone who was able to cast again, since some of us were not able to cast some of those. We are glad they were cast by someone. We need to get the rest of those posted on YouTube as well. But congrats to, again, JDG for making it to the finals here, and we will wait to see who he is going to be facing. Any last words, guys, before we sign off here?
If you want to watch more of that Quick Draw versus Closing Fire is on right now. Come watch on my channel.
Yeah. Riku?
Nah, just go watch the game with Roy and Carlos, because Carlos is also my my teammate, so support him.
Everyone's your teammate. I don't know how you're allowed to be on 2 teams at once. That seems silly.
Okay, because I'm just in Vietnam. I'm
That's your excuse. Okay. Thank you all so much for hanging out and watching. Again, thanks to Snoopy for compiling all of this data. Thanks to Lord Judo for putting together those matchup slides. All good stuff. And again, been a fun tournament. Excited to see how it ends. Otherwise, see you next time, or we'll see you on Captain Gale's channel in just a few minutes here. But have a good Sunday and a good week, everyone. Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.